Good morning everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to play with the flowers, but before we go into constructing our petals, just to bring you up to speed, I ended up stitching right up through here, so that allowed me to do that extra leaf. So I'm pleased that that's sort of done. I then I stitched around my little element here, and then I went fossicking and found this piece of crocheted lace. It was off of a doily that sort of the fabric came out around this corner and then down, and then it sort of cut back in, and they'd crocheted from that point right around to the opposite side. So I really liked that that shape. I'll show you what I mean. You're probably thinking, what is the girl talking about? You've probably seen them around. See where they kick in like that and then carry on around? So yeah, I thought I'll take advantage of that little crocheted edge shape. So that's in position. This little guy I unpicked and I put in another little piece. I sort of, look, I can't believe how crooked I've got. Look at this. I even trimmed it back a bit because it was getting wider and wider. It went from 25 centimeters to 26 centimeters by the time I got to the top. So I did a little bit more replumbing. It doesn't have to be perfect because at the end of the day there'll be bits hanging off, and you know, but it did look a little bit like fat going to the top. This piece of fabric I'm planning on doing my writing on, and I'm pretty happy with its position. So at some point I'll stitch that down, and that little scrappy bit is pinned there. So I had a feeling it'd find a home. There'll be a leaf go here. I do have one cut, but it's from down here and it's just not quite the right size. Like it's probably okay, but I could probably do a little bit better. So I'll just leave that for now. I think that's about it. So the flower. Now what I want to try and do is just have layers of fabric in here that sort of help tone it all together to create the flower. I'll show you what I mean. So I've gone looking for some different pinks in some different fabrics. I'm getting right down to the last few little bits of that. There must be a big piece somewhere. But and then some vintage fabric from France. And this is a piece of cotton that I actually dyed in my Fleur Woods course with mulberry. And I thought, well, that would work. So that's the plan. And then I've got this crocheted tablecloth that I'm always, you know, taking little pieces out of. I just love that net look. It's really handy, and you can go quite dense to quite loose. Yeah, it's a really, really handy piece. Now, what did I do? Because I can't wait, I have this lace I picked up at the knob shop. I would call it lingerie lace because it's got a stretch in it, and I really only use it when I'm layering down lace to make journal covers. So I thought, well, I might pull it out again, and I've cut one petal already, and because it had big flowers on it, I've attempted to cut that petal with the flower. So that's the first one. But technically, what you need to do when you're doing a flower collaging, I might bring you down a little bit so you can sort of see a little bit clearer, is you need to work out which petal is behind the other petal. And you start from the back and work forward. And I tend to put the darker fabrics at the back and getting lighter. Now you can also think about, this could be the lighter petal and these a little bit darker because they're nestled in all of this shrubbery. So the light's bouncing off these little guys, but not so much these guys. So just something to consider. Where is your light source coming from? Now I'm going to sketch in or draw in this one next because he's technically under the lingerie lace one. So I feel like I need to get him in next. And I'm thinking I'll follow the artist before me and make the lighter ones around here and the darker ones around here. I'm thinking is a good theory. So let's go. Oh, I've been waiting and waiting to get to this. It's like when you get that meal and you eat all your veggies first to get them out of the way, and then you've got the good piece of whatever it is is left. That's how I felt about this. I've just been wanting to get in and do the flower, but of course I can't because it's on top of all of the background. So patience. What's that saying? Patience is a virtue. Patience is a challenge. This should be the saying for me. Now I'm going to try and make this petal as close as I can. Whoops, lost the petal, but that's okay. Close as I can to this shape, because if I don't, I run the risk of losing the integrity of the flower. So it's pretty important when it comes to animals and flowers and things that you keep the shape. I just don't like that sharp little edge there that I've created for myself. So let's just lift that up because he's at the back. So we're going to bounce the light off of this bottom corner petal and then go darker from there. There we go. Now we might find a dark piece and get this guy at the back, I think, into position. And we're going to have to sort of guess him a little bit. We'll bring him down. Nice big petal. Finish your words, Corinne. I couldn't sleep last night. I was thinking about this piece and finally getting to play with it. I have a vision in my brain. There is an image. Look, the girls should concentrate. Put a pin on the petal. She's going to lose this beautiful, rare dyed fabric. My poor mulberry tree, it's really coming to the end of its season now. The birds have figured out it's down at the back of the garden. So when I go down to get a mulberry, it's like there's been a party going on. So I think the mulberry season, as I know it, is coming to an end. So that guy is really just peeking through. Then I think it's this guy next, actually. Let's get him. Can I get that petal out of that little scrap piece of... So the paper I'm using is just tracing paper, but my go-to paper, if I can't get my hands on this, is greaseproof paper. Readily available, nice and cheap. I'll make that one quite big. Might pick another piece of this. Maybe in a lighter spot. Okay. You just need something you can see through. It gives you a bit of a guide of where you're going with your shape. It'll be a little while before I can play with the second flower because there's so much embroidery that needs to go into positions. Oh, that's good. You can see the difference in colour there. It's been really handy having this dyed fabric. And we're going over the top of that guy. Yep. Beautiful. Yeah, lovely. I really want to play with it. Okay, so let's have a think about this fellow on top. What am I going to do him out of? I really could do with another pink fabric, couldn't I? Do I want to bring in another colour? Yeah, I think I do. Just having a think about some linens that I have. Just one moment, guys. Okay. I think we'll be able to find a colour in there. Another pink, same pink. It's a bit of a purple here. That should do it. It's really fresh pink, but I just don't think it's the right tone. Let me just grab it out. You never know. That one there. This one might actually work because everything is this colour. It might be a bit too tonal. I might, I think I will use the darker one because I'll do this petal next. And we can always lay a lighter one on top. That's what I'm thinking. Let's just cut that out of there. Okay, round we go. Once we get our petals down into position and we're happy with them, we'll need something to go in the center there to sort of give us a base to embellish. Now I need a petal that's going to lay over that whole lot. And he's a big fellow. Let me just get in there and get a this one could actually be lacy, I'm thinking, because he's at the front. I'm thinking he could be a bit of a fancy petal. Now I've got to get this right again. That one went under there. He's right at the back. Never really to be seen again, but he is there. And this guy is here. Could do with something to break it up a bit. Maybe we do another plain one in white. And then in our layering that'll come next, it'll get pushed back a bit. Magnolias are an unusual flower. They can tend to be very vastly different in petal colours as they sort of go through their life. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to try and bring this purple one out a little bit more. I'll just take that back a bit. And keep that nice shape that magnolias have, that okay, that's looking good. Now, this petal, thinking we might do another purple petal over there. So I'll bring it right into the center. If your flower that you're enhancing, you sort of think that the petals and the layers of them needs to change, by all means do it, because sometimes the fabrics you choose means that, you know, you've got to consider. See, I don't mind that, it's nice and fresh. I thought it mightn't work, but I think it will. I'm going to just, we'll have a play. It's very soft linen, this. I just do that. By the time I put layers and things on these, like the colours will be pushed back even more. I'd leave that bit of length. Yeah, that's okay. That's good. I bring him forward. It does sort of look like he's opposite mate there, and here looking too unusually weird. So let's just play with that a little bit more. Yep. Okay, so there's our flower with his one lace petal. But now what we need to do is get us a circle in the center, a base of which to work with. I'm sort of looking for something a little bit taupey. I think this might do the trick. I only need a tiny bit. It'll just give us that background. How big of a circle do we want? So I'll hide all of those ends. There we go. It's a bit of an odd shape, but that's okay. Doesn't have to be perfect. I know that looks very childlike, and you're thinking, oh my goodness, girl, you've made that look simplistic. I'm going to sneeze. Oh, excuse me. And again, no. Yes. Gee. Oh. All right, now I need a sip of coffee now. Well, I think. Now it's about layering in bits of colour. Okay. Oh, so sorry, guys. Oh my goodness. Now it's about layering in bits of extra colour and texture and building up Now I got sniffles. Oh my goodness, those scissors are hopeless. So I'm just gonna meander through all of these fabrics now and just keep layering in extra fabrics. Might put another little bit over there. It's just started raining. A little shower of rain. Excuse me. I wonder if that's what set my nose off. I might have to stop the camera and go and deal with my nose. Otherwise, I'm going to be sniffling. Let's get that guy in there. This is about showing the colours that you see within the throat of these things. Yeah, I'm going to have to pause the video. I'm going to sneeze again. Sorry. Okay, I'm back. I've regained my composure. Goodness me, it was like a little shower of rain came across and my nose was set off. So, I don't know, must be connected. So I'm just going to continue to try and find colour tones that can be just slid in to help build the story of this little fellow. So just layers of bits and pieces, and then it'll be just a case of stitch it all down, and then I can focus on the center. I'm envisioning beads and, you know, all that good stuff, as you can well imagine. Might even put that there, try and get a bit of this pink. I grabbed these as I come back into the room. I thought maybe I could put some little bits of these guys in as well, just to add a little bit of definition to my piece. It's definitely the right colours. I'm sure there'd be a scrap of this somewhere, and I probably didn't need to chop into that piece the way I just did, but whatever, just use it. Don't know if this is the right size petal, but we'll just place it and see how we go. Yeah, starting to come alive now. Let's get one of those again into there. This is all just sitting precariously with very few pins. What could possibly go wrong? You could fiddle. You could fiddle with this for hours. But we're not going to. We're just going to make decisions, lay it down and be done. And move on. No procrastinating. Might just go up higher with my pen. I'll leave that guy for a minute. I need to do something over here. I sort of do like, I might do a couple layers of colour on that one. I got a little bit more of this one. I'm not even in camera. Like, it's so tricky. You want to zoom in so you guys can see what the hang we're doing. But then we get all carried away with our work that we look up and we're like, oh, you can't even see. Mind you, I'm just cutting fabric. You probably know what that's all about. That's it. That's it. It's maintaining that shape. I might go into the lace department now. I think we've got enough happening with the fabrics, so let's just put them to one side. I so want to do that flower, but I can't. Got to do it in the right order. Oh. I really should be using those little applique pins that I've got because they're nice and small. Let's have a nibble into this. Look at that. There's a petal right there. Let's just get that little morsel out, I'm thinking. I might just lift that out because I'm trying to slide them underneath and I probably don't need to work that hard. Let's get, I sort of want to stay within that dense crocheting, because I think if I get into that real loose stuff, it's going to take me a month of Sundays to make sure it's all crocheted down. Now, that's enough of that one. Let's get in amongst the scraps. My whole table looks like scraps. It's just got out of control here. Let's see what morsels of loveliness we can find in here. I am sort of looking for a tone. A certain, I do like, I wonder if I could cut a shape out of him. I like how he's going to give me that line right up the center. That is a nice little detail. He's pretty big. I don't think he's actually going to work because he's so big. We'll give him a little trim. Maybe pop him in the center there. Could do with something else. Nearly need something really dark, like we're getting into the center of it. Now, we could finish your sentences, girl. I think I'm sort of looking for a burgundy is what I'm actually looking for. Something a little bit red, burgundy red. Oh, gosh, if that was a burgundy. Good morning, Pepper Peach. Gaz let you in, did he? Hey, what are you two up to? You should come to have a little chat. How are you, my darling girl? Peppa Peach has just come to visit. Maybe I let my threads do the work next. I just can't see in my immediate circle here a colour that I don't really want to do lace because I've got my 3 little pieces, but I feel like something could be tucked in there, but maybe that's enough. And with stitching, you know, we'll be fine. So what I'm going to do now, guys, is I'm going to attempt to stitch all this down. Just get some pins relocated. And I'm just going to use my invisible stitch. I'm going to leave all of the edges unstitched. Does that make sense? Because I want that frayed, soft look to the flower. So that's what I'm going for. Let's have a look at that. Bring it up to the camera. Yeah, I think that's it. Then I'll use that as my center, and I'll probably actually cut that down just a fraction more. Maybe something like that might have worked. Just this little scrap bounced up at me. I just feel like I need something in there, an extra little detail. I know I'm probably fiddling to the point of no one's ever going to know that that little piece of fabric really was added. But I know. Yeah, there we go. Just felt I needed to push just something in there, a little extra. Yeah, that's good. It's bringing a bit of that, what do they call it? I'll use your words. Use your big words, girl. Now, where's my cotton? Where is my sewing cotton? Of course, it's sitting by the couch. Look, I tell you, if I could just move the couch and the TV into here and it'd just all be in one space, it'd be so much more logical for me. All right, guys, I'm going to pause the video, get my cotton, and I'm going to invisible stitch this all down because I don't want to waste time with you guys watching that. I'm going to find out why Peppa Peach here is roaming around the house and where my husband is and why the dog is unsupervised. So I will do all that. Then I'll be back and we can look at threads and beads and things to embellish from there. All right, guys, I will be back in a moment. Okay, I'm back. Now, everything is stitched down with invisible stitch. I tried to stay away from the satin that's there. It's not even satin, it's like a polyester rayon-y type synthetic, because I didn't want that little stitch to sort of pinch it down and look like it was obvious, but the rest is really well stitched down, so it shouldn't be going anywhere. So the next thing is to start working into the center of our piece. Now I'm thinking I could probably make this a fraction smaller, but I really want to make the center a feature. So I don't know if I want to go any... look, I'm going to leave it. No, I'll take a little bit off. Just a tiny bit. It doesn't need much because I've planned to make it, you know, really full of beads and knots and things like that. It's not much, but I think I'll need every bit of that, because when you look at the magnolias, they're quite a big chunky center to them. So now threads. I've got this guy left. It's the last of it, and I thought, oh, just use it up, get rid of it. So I'm thinking of starting with this. And do some stamens with it. But I'm thinking I'll stay within the petals a little bit. So it's all about highlight stitching now. So what am I going to do? Might do an open lazy daisy, I think. Oops, it twisted on me. Oh, but I don't mind that. No, I'll leave it an open-ended. So it gets us that soft shape, and then I'll come down into that center. Probably make it a little bit off center too. It'll feel like the flower is, you know, tilted instead of being dead center. There we go. And then I'll just anchor it with a stitch so it doesn't go anywhere. These are just more layers. So I'll come back up here and I'm going to ignore the petals to a degree now, because if I start worrying about them, I'll start following them and their layout. So I sort of want to just start again getting texture with thread. And we'll get a few of these little guys in place so that it's a lazy daisy, but it's open. And the point of which the lazy daisy starts is in two different locations instead of being together. So it sort of gives you that really good stamen look. Yeah. So let's just whiz around the perimeter with that thread. I'll do a few more to use up the thread on my needle, but then I'm going to change to something else. I might concentrate in one area. Should do a little anchor stitch now. I didn't it before, but the anchor stitch just helps hold it. Might be able to get a little guy over here. So in we go. It's very thick. It's hard work, this stitching. No wonder my fingertips feel constantly bruised. There we go. Now I don't think I'll go all the way around in the radius, but then I might. I don't know. At the moment I'm just going to focus on one section, get my layers started, and then decide whether it becomes a full circle of those or just portions. I can see Bandit out the corner of my eye, and he's pulling a branch off of my shrub for no other reason than just to pull it off the shrub. That dog, I tell you, still got a bit of a puppy brain about him. Okay. All right. So where's my little container that I put threads in that I use? This one. So that's a definite. I did have this chiffon out and didn't end up using it. Oh, I do like it. I don't know which is worse on fabric, sticky tape or pins. It's the necessity of the two, but I'm just going to cut a random little petal. I really felt like I wanted to use a bit of this white chiffon, and I've somehow missed it. So I'm just going to push an extra petal in, just because. Just another layer, so that can be trimmed, and that'll sit in there. Okay, slight detour on the way. Just pop a pin there, sidetracked with more layers, like it needs it, not really. Okay, so I'm thinking we need a bit of a punch. I like the look of that. Let's get a bit of darkness in here and get some so you can do things like create a petal within, oh, I like that, where you couch down. I'll go, because it's a dark thread, I'm going to come up down under the center there, and I'm going to create a loop sort of like what we did with the leaves, where we couch down that rope. Now it doesn't have to follow the line of the previous petal. I might just let it find its own spot, which was sort of what I said with don't look too much at the petals below, otherwise you tend to be following them. And I'm just attempting to couch down this darker cotton. Instead of doing more linear lines like I just did, I'm going to go for more of a softer, loopy. And couch this down. Now I could have got 2 threads and used another needle and thread with the same cotton on it to do the couching, but I'm being a bit cheeky lazy and trying to do it all in the one, and let's see if we can get a nice organic shape, just with a few little stitches coming back. That'll help build a bit of texture as well. So we'll definitely do a few of those around. Oops, lost my needle and thread. So that's a definite. I could foresee one coming sort of out here, maybe in behind there. It's fiddly. There we go. Yeah, that's good. Happy with that. So I'll just end him off. Could even do like another one there. I might do that. Let's just throw out a, soon I'm in that vicinity. Just sort of have a play with where you'd like to see your loop. Yeah, it's like when you do a watercolour painting and you come back through with a black pen and do some squiggles over your blobs of paint, and it sort of helps define what you were trying to achieve with your paints. This is sort of that technique, I think. It's twisting on me a little bit, so it's making it look fiddlier than what it probably should need to be. But if you take your time, you'll get it. Just getting that nice petal shape. And then a little stitch to hold it into position. Yeah, I like that. So I'll have to navigate something through there and just sort of tuck it under those already in place stitches, but that'll be fine. That won't be too hard. Okay, got a little bit left. That little bit left might be good to couch next time. Now the question is, do we need another thread colour, or have we got enough going on that, you know, it'll be fine? I just want to have a play with some of these walls. I'm just wondering if we could bring in maybe another colour. No. Maybe in around the centre. Maybe because they've sort of got this dark brown centre. We might just have a little play with this guy. Maybe some pistol stitch. Just to get a little bit of interest in there. Not that there's not enough interest, mind you. Yeah, I just feel like we're going to need just a little bit of something in there. And then I think we will have a look at the beads. Now, really, I should be working each thread to its finished point, but for the sake of videoing, I really need to jump ahead a little bit. Otherwise, these videos would be 4 hours long by the time you work through. But it does sort of give you an idea of how big you want your stitches. As well, and it's best you figure this out at this point than, you know, doing a heap of stitching and realizing that you could have been 1/4 of an inch bigger. I'm just going to leave, I think, a gap between that first cluster and this cluster at the moment. Otherwise it'll look too sunflowerish. All right, that's the end of that thread, so that's good. Whether I need any more of that brown, I don't know. Might overpower it, so I've got to be a little bit careful with it, being a strong colour, but one can be a little brave. Okay. Now, I think it's time for beads, guys, which means it's time for Reginald. Like even things like this, you could create some loops with that. You know, just to, oh yeah. Did I end up getting myself a tapestry needle in my collection? No, I might just grab my needle book, and because I'm pretty sure there's a tapestry needle in there, and I just feel like I want to do some loops. It's the yarn I used on the, like it's as blunt as anything. Well, that one's a sharp one. No, I have to use that big eye. So sort of like a little bit of turkey work, but I want to, look, I need to get this secured, don't I? Let's get a few stitches in that little guy so I can get rid of that pin. Just a few little loops to make it feel a little bit more textured. Let's stitch this little petal down. Then I can get rid of that pin. Oh, gosh, I tell you. The eye on my needle's just a little bit big, so the thread's going to fall out really easily. There we go. Just a nice little bit of softness to get a bit of white back down on that bottom corner, because remember we were hoping to have the light shining on the front petals. Okay. All right, I'm happy now. Let's see if we can get some loops. I just don't know if I can push this monster through. At least I can thread it. Let's get, oh yep, oh that's all right. So it's just creating turkey work, but I'm not going to cut it. So you need to do your loop and then get yourself a little stitch, and that anchors that guy in. Then we'll do another loop. If you were doing like a big heap of turkey stitch, you'd keep your loops and your stitches all in a row, and your anchoring stitch just drops below your loop. Where's a pen and paper? I'm describing this with turkey stitch. This is how I understand it to be done. You would come up and go down, but the little anchoring stitch would be just below. And then you come up, you go down, and just below is the anchoring stitch. So you've got this little itty bitty stitch holding. So you'd come up, go back down, and of course that's your loop, and then the little anchoring stitch drops below. So just think of carpet and how you have all of the loops in your carpet in a row, and then when you come back along, you do the same thing again. You'd have your loop, anchoring stitch, loop, anchoring stitch, loop, anchoring stitch, and then you'd fill your area, and then you can snip it and, you know, make it all fluffy. We're not going to do the whole fluffy thing. has twisted, but no, don't mind that, I guess. Let's get some more loops. Anchoring stitch so that loop doesn't go anywhere. And once it sort of all starts bedding down, you find that you can then trim them if you want to make them fluffy, but I don't think I will at this stage make mine fluffy. I sort of want just bulk in the centre and fibres and bit of texture. So there's 4. I'll just do anchoring stitch. You've got to use gentleness to pull it all through. Even though you're trying to force into layers, you sort of want to be gentle because you'll pull your stitch right through and you'll lose your loop. But you also got to navigate many, many layers. Okay, I'm just going to do one more, just so I've got a bit of an odd number. All right. And now I'm going to knot that off. Okay. That little guy is done. So we've got now this little loopy thing. I don't think I'll be doing any more chocolate stitch. I think that's enough. I like how it's got, like that's peeling forward and that's, I don't know, sticking up. I don't even mind. This piece has been kicking around my desk for so long. And I'm like, when will it ever find a home? Nope, not today. All right. Now, beads. Beads, beads, beads. Where's Reginald? Come on, Reggie. There you are, you nasty little thing. Now, let's get the big containers. They're all mixed up and I'm actually sick and tired of tidying them up and mixing them up, and so now I just leave them mixed and I can just come in here and rummage. I think we could do with a little bit of gold. Oh, sequins. We should consider them. Look at those. They're bold. Not quite the right colour. That's a good colour. And it would give me something big. And those to soften it. Maybe we could get a couple of those in. Like, it all works and they're all got a little bit of a contrast about them. Okay, let's have a little play. We don't have a lot of time left. I think I looked at it and we had about half an hour when I came back to you guys. So we'll see. Let's start with getting some big beads into position. Oh yeah, gotta do that. Gotta. We'll come into there, secure it. Get rid of that pin because that blue head to that pin is throwing me. Pick up our big bead. Can have one of those. Yum. Put a second stitch into him to really hold him I like how that's actually curled. It's sort of giving it a little bit of movement. And we're going to, well, you know what I wouldn't mind doing? I wonder, is threading a heap on and making a loop out of these. Wouldn't need many on the loop. Like a, you know, like a stamen. Is that enough? Probably not. Yeah, a few more. Just to put a bit of sparkle in there. Can never have enough sparkle. Fabrics often, unless you're using sparkly fabrics, of course, often are flat. So I really love beads to bring light into your work. There we go. Little loop of beads. And what I might do is I'll do a couple more loops, but I'll come up behind that wool and tuck them in the back there. Let's do one more. Just going to anchor that with a couple stitches before I get okay. Pick up some more beads. My instinct would have been to go to pink beads, but I think I've got enough pink there to sell the story. Now I sort of need to bring in some more of the warmer tones that you often see in the center of these flowers. Let's see if that's enough to get a loop. I'd say it will be. Yep. Love it. Love, love, love. Love it. It's just keeping that height up, which I'm really digging. Oh, don't do that. Don't pull that little guy. What have I caught it, have I? Yep, back up. What a shame. I've pulled a thread in the yarn. What a shame. Sorry about that. Like, you'll never notice it, but I can see it. I'll have to ease it back. Just want to get my needle in there. Okay, and I'm thinking there'll be another one we can do up the back over here, just to balance that center out. Where are they? There they are. And then I can just do random clusters of beads. I think I've got my structure in place. And I'll drizzle beads then down around the bottom here. Let's get this guy stitched in. Don't twist, sneak you in the back there. Without going through any of the yarn and pulling a thread like I just did. I'm going to close those beads before there is a disaster. Yeah, I'm happy with that. That flower has really got some interesting elements to it now. So we might just throw in now, because I sort of work from the big things down to the little things. So the next feature that I can see that could come in is a sequin too. So let's get those into position. And we'll need a bead to hold the sequin in. I'm glad I did cut that back down a little bit more. Just a neutral bead there. Just to keep our little sequin in position. There's a tiny little seed bead on top of it just to hold it all. I'd really love to do a second stitch through that sequin. Come on, get that needle in the right. Come on, Reg. Why is it such a struggle? The struggle is certainly real. There he is. Okay, happy now. Oh, don't you start peeking up there. I might drop another sequin out here. So I'm going to drift the flower, the beads down the petals a little bit. So then I can really, make them a feature. I might not get the opportunity to do as much beading on that flower due to the shape of it. So I'm going to go for gold and really abstractly get some sparkle happening. Now I definitely will put another sequin in, but I might just leave it at that for now. I'm going to head back up to the center, anchor it, my thread. Then I'm going to have a look at these darker ones. This one. Just remember, we've got to get a bit of depth in there of colour, because we are looking down into the center of the flower. So I think we need just a few dark pink ones. Trying to talk, think, and not let Reginald bite me. Is a challenge. Come on, Reg. Might have to have a good think about this rhyme. It's time to commit, I think. I've got a few, but I just can't quite decide. So I'm going to make a decision, because our weeks are really slipping by. So what I might do is my homework, it'll just be split back stitch, is I'm going to come up with a rhyme. I'm going to stitch it up the top there on that piece. And I might have even need some more pinky tone beads. I might even, what am I trying to say? Put in these side pieces of fabric over here just to finish the edging off of the piece, because that's not real exciting viewing. I'll have to have a look at how many exact weeks are left. Now I'm just putting in a smaller version of the beads I just did. I'm doing 2 at a time so I get height. They're still in that colour palette, but a little bit paler. I was going to do like a completely different bead, but I think I've got enough colour changing, mucking around going on. Might do 3. So I'm clustering it up now. Really build that height up. So that is my flower. I'll revisit all of those threads that we have put to one side in my container. You know, the one that makes the loop, the little lazy daisy one, and I might pop a few more in position, but I won't be going too crazy. I really like what I've got already. I need to finish this off. I might just put Reg down for a moment, get a better needle, because I'm to the point where I really need to knot it off, and Reg is splitting my thread. Here we go for time. Oh, well and truly over. All right, guys, I'm going to leave it at that because otherwise it just keeps going and going, doesn't it? This is a long video. And like I said, I'll get my script into place so I can surprise you with my wisdom. And I'll keep adding texture to my flower. I'll drizzle some more little beads around and stitches and some more loops, so that'll finish that off. And like I said, I'll piece in here, piece around there, so my perimeter's done, and then I can just start focusing in here because there's still a lot of work to do. Not only is there the flower, there's all of this embroidery, so I might just lose myself. I've got a bit of time up my sleeve, so I'm just going to have a play with it, I think, and then I'll come back and bring you up to speed next week. All right, guys, look after yourselves, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye. Hi, guys, I'm back. Just quickly to show you my finished flower. I sat here for another half an hour and just kept stitching, and I'm going to call it finished at the moment, unless I think of something else I want to put in there. I added some pistol stitches here, just in a soft pink. I'll zoom in because you'll never see that detail. So there's some little pistol stitches here with a grub stitch at the end. I scattered some little cream beads through these 2 petals. I then decided to use some wool and outline these with the pink. I popped a little bit of green wool here just to sort of tie it all in. Then some little X's. What else did I do? I think that's about it. I sort of just fiddled around and made it as random as I could. If I thought of doing X's, I only did it in 2 spots, not, you know, everywhere. Did a running stitch around this little guy here. I just felt like my petals needed some subtle detail, the big petals. So that's why I sort of kept going and adding. And yeah, love it. Absolutely love it. Okay, guys, I'm going to leave it at that, and I'll put a picture of it finished at the end, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye.